Welcome to Software Project Engineering. My colleague Dan Schien and I are unit directors on SPE, and we thought it would be useful to give you an overview of some of the frequently asked questions for clients on this unit. So, I'd like to ask you, Dan, a few questions that commonly occur from the clients. The first of those is, we've sent over 4 different contracts. Can you talk about the differences between them and which ones the client should be signing?
Thank you, Simon. So we set up these contracts to be as light touch as possible for a framework to support the students and the clients. So you have received these contracts for 2 kinds of projects. There's an open source and a closed source project contract, and the closed source one implies the transfer of intellectual property. For each of those 2 variants, you received 1 contract template for an individual and 1 for an organization. Please choose the one that is most appropriate for your given context.
Can you talk more about the differences between the open source and the closed source contracts?
Certainly. The open source contract implies that the software source code will be made accessible open source. It will also be licensed under a permissible MIT license. The closed source contract implies the transfer of the intellectual property from the students to the client.
Can you tell us more about how both contracts are similar?
Indeed, the contracts are quite similar. Both of them include a confidentiality agreement for the students. That means they are legally bound not to disclose confidential information that they might learn in the context of working with you. Only information that is not already in the public domain is confidential information. We ask you to clearly signal to the students whenever you disclose any confidential information to them that you don't want to have revealed. Additionally, the contracts specify a minimum number of meetings that the clients should have with the students. Both contracts also limit the liability of the students.
And what if clients really like the system that has been built? Is it possible to deploy that?
Well, we'd hope that's the case for many of the projects that our students will construct. Definitely that is a possibility. However, we ask all the clients to apply the usual security and privacy protection mechanisms that are recommended in such a circumstance. We will, as part of the learning that the students carry out in this unit, the students will apply basic security measures to their systems. However, we cannot guarantee that the systems are of professional grade. Ultimately, the responsibility is with the client to decide whether or not the project is secure and provides enough privacy protection.
Clients often ask us how much technical support should they offer to the students?
There's no expectation that the clients provide any technical support. We have organizations that do have expertise in software construction, and they are welcome to provide some support to the students.
For a typical project, how many meetings with their client would we expect them to have?
The meetings should suit the need of the project. At minimum, there will be a meeting at the project initiation phase in order to discover what the actual needs of the clients are. There will be then a follow-up meeting to present designs. That makes 2. We have scheduled for the students a series of releases, 3 of them, 1 before Christmas, 1 in February, and 1 at the end of April. It's important that these meetings are carried out in order to give feedback to the students on the system that they have built. So these are the 5 meetings that should be there at the absolute minimum. In general, we expect meetings to take place every 3 weeks in order to provide additional support. But there's some flexibility around this depending on the context of the specific project.
We're often asked, does the university provide support for travel expenses? Can this be included in the projects?
Sadly, we do not have a budget to cover travel expenses. We ask everybody to be pragmatic. Many of our clients, of our project partners, do have offices here in Bristol and so can meet without incurring any substantial expenses. Meetings can take place online. Otherwise, it comes down to having a conversation and finding an agreement that's suitable for everybody.
Can you give us some advice for clients who need to go away for a period of time during the project? For example, if they go on holiday?
Sure. It's quite important that the students have someone in the organization they can contact to get feedback on progress, etc. If you do have to go away, please nominate someone in your organization and then let the students know as soon as you can so that they can plan appropriately.